And you have some incredible relationships with other leaders here. And a lot of people looking in go, well, that's weird. You don't need to be friends with these. These are just coworkers. What do you say to people like that?
Well, I mean, we talk a lot about like our leadership construct here. And I know other leaders in the past on EntreLeadership have come in and we're talking about vision, results. But the relationship side of this is truly how we lead. Both our teams and our peers and our coworkers is from a very relational standpoint. We talk about 2 a.m. friends, like when the rubber meets the road and bad things happen, it's somebody you can pick up the phone and call at 2 a.m. Or when you get a potential cancer diagnosis, you can fire off text messages and emails to the people that you're closest to, and they're going to be right there by your side. That is truly how we lead here from a relational standpoint.
Well, it reminds me of the John Deloney quote, friendships are your emergency fund for life. That relationships are the emergency fund for life. And you clearly had that in this time of need. And not only on the personal side, but on the team side, what was it like handling the stress of trying to lead this entire business with, over 100 team members?
So we spent a lot of time, and I've said often, like we kind of plan for the worst and pray for the best and hope that we're shooting somewhere in the middle. And so we spent a considerable amount of time with the operating board and with my leadership team kind of making sure that the holes were filled, because I had just lost 2 leaders on my leadership team. And we knew we had some things that I was trying to fill the holes and the void of my team in. And so like we knew we needed to take care of our team. We needed to continue the business performance, and we needed to fill the holes. And so I sat with Dave, the operating board, my leadership team, and we kind of shuffled the deck of like, how do we cover this to ensure that if I'm going to be out for a considerable amount of time, that we're going to be okay. And the level of trust across the board was extremely high, because we ended up taking the same leaders and just kind of shifting their roles so that everything was covered. And we pulled in Daniel Ramsey to kind of sit as my proxy in my seat, and we moved forward. Thankfully, I was only out for a short amount of time, but we had plans in place to cover 6 months plus for me being out.
Well, for those who are wondering where you're at right now, health-wise, can you give us an update?
Absolutely. I've got a clean bill of health, completely cancer-free. I went through surgery, and thankfully it was contained there. And so I was out for a short amount of time to recover from surgery, and then slowly kind of walked back into my seat. And I think now I can confidently say I'm back to as close to 100% as possible for this being a short amount of time. But there's still a lot of good communication and grace to continue through scans and treatments.
Yeah, praise God. I had a good time hugging you when I found out the news.
Absolutely.
So to kind of wrap this up here, recapping, you would say the key to managing stress when you're stepping into hard things as a leader, communication, trust, and amazing relationships in place.
Yes, absolutely. The relationships are key. Finding a happy balance between vulnerability and good boundaries, especially in a professional setting. Like, you can take this overboard, and that's why we've got the no gossip core value, because you don't want to completely because some people, it's not going to be a medical condition. It's just going to be the added pressure of what's going on in your business. And you don't want to take things too far and overshare or betray somebody's trust. And so finding good boundaries, but yet being at a place where you can be a real human and be vulnerable and really say, I'm struggling here, and this is some things I need. And so being able to, on a text thread or in person, just jump in and have a good, deep relationship with somebody is vital, especially in a leadership level.
Yeah. So for the leader that wants to take steps towards this, they want to have great communication, trust, relationships, in their business. How can they take the right steps towards that if they're not there right now?
Well, it's something that doesn't happen overnight. It is by degrees, but really kind of finding somebody that you can relate to. We say, quite often on our level, it's the people that we're in the foxhole with, and we're doing battle side by side. And so starting to take steps towards how do we start to open the door from a trust standpoint. And usually you have to take the first step. and like, are we good? Cool. Okay, let's keep going. And just being able to share like where you're struggling, what are the things that you want to be called out on? Can you really step up and say like, hey, I've got some blind spots and I know what those are, but like when you see me do something stupid, will you be the one to call me out because I'll trust you? And by degrees over time, like that grows and you get to a point where you don't even have to ask and they'll just bring it to you. But they do it from a place of like, I want you to be better and you want you to be better. So here, I'm gonna push into this.
So it sounds like you have to show up first.
Absolutely. You
And
gotta
it's
take
not
this.
it's not a reciprocation thing of like, well, if I do this, other people would do it for me. It's just from a point of this is what leadership looks like.
Yeah, and good open communication along the way of like, hey, what I'm looking for is this, and if you can be that person to walk alongside me and like let me kind of bounce ideas off you and have a like open, trusted working relationship, then I think we're good. And sometimes it's awkward to have that initial conversation of like, will you be my friend? But it is, eighth graders on the playground going like, hey, can we do this?
Well, most leaders just want to muscle through and not admit that they don't have it all together. But being open and going to another leader and saying, hey, I need help in this area. I'm not okay over here. Can you help?
Yep.
That takes a level of vulnerability, but I think that also creates such an amazing bond.
That willingness to just like muscle through and do it in a place of isolation, that's where burnout happens. And that's where leaders fall off the rails.